NATO and NATO allies, we have very good intelligence. We are working hard. We have monitored Russian nuclear forces for decades, and of course we will continue to monitor them very closely, and we will stay vigilant. Also when they now start a new exercise. What I can say is that this exercise, the Russian exercise, is an annual exercise. It's an exercise where they test and exercise their nuclear forces. We will monitor that, as we always do, and of course we will remain vigilant, not least in light of the veiled nuclear threats and the dangerous nuclear rhetoric we have seen from the Russian side. It will have severe consequences if Russia uses nuclear weapon, any kind of nuclear weapon against Ukraine. This is something Russia knows, something NATO and NATO allies have communicated in different ways to Russia. And we will not go into exactly how we will respond, but of course this will fundamentally change the nature of the conflict. It will mean that a very important line has been crossed. Even any use of a smaller nuclear weapon will be a very serious thing, fundamentally changing the nature of the war in Ukraine, and of course that will have consequences, and Russia knows there will be consequences. The main message from the meetings in Brussels today and yesterday in the NATO Defense Ministerial meeting and the US-led contact group was to mobilize more support for Ukraine, not least in light of the fact that the winter is coming. So there has been a lot of focus on winter clothing, on equipment to enable them to also operate throughout the winter, generators, tents, and other things which are extremely important to enable the Ukrainian forces to operate also throughout the winter. Then I think I will leave it to the Ukrainian commanders to comment exactly on how they will operate, but our task is to enable them to also be able to conduct meaningful operations throughout the winter and continue to supply them with everything from fuel, winter clothing, tents, to advanced weapon systems, air defense, armored vehicles, and advanced artillery. Of course, the victories we have seen in Kharkiv and in Kherson, they belong to the brave Ukrainian soldiers. But the support that NATO and NATO allies and partners have provided has enabled them to make these gains. And we will continue and deliver even more ammunition, weapons, and also, of course, air defense systems, partly to protect their forces, the critical infrastructure, but also to protect civilians. I trust that the Ukrainian commanders know how to best utilize the different air defense systems we are delivering. But we have to understand that just over the last few days, we have had announcements and deliveries from countries like the United States. Germany just announced actually delivered a very advanced air defense system. Spain announced a new delivery of Hawk air defense launchers today. And France has announced more air defense to Ukraine, so as also the Netherlands and many other countries. So just over the last few days, we have seen that when we mobilize, when we call on NATO allies to do more, they're actually doing more. And that's making a huge difference.